We can go to the next slide, please. And then the next one. And today we're gonna be talking about why it's important to enroll in CEP this year or apply for CEP. And very quickly, we're gonna go through a CEP introduction, and then we'll go straight to the reasons why is it important and what benefits would your school or your student have if you enroll in CEP this year. We have different speakers for every one of those reasons, which is like locking your ISP this year, why CEP is risk-free for your school, electing CEP now and using SSO this year, and why CEP makes PEBT easier, and what are those benefits for your students, and how we are here to help make CEP applications easy. At the end of the webinar, we're gonna have a question and answer session. So please feel free to add any questions that you have regarding CEP, regarding PEBT, regarding meals count, and we can answer your questions at the end. Next slide, please. The organizations that are working together to bring this effort to you is Open San Diego, who is a Code for America Brigade. And they believe that the data and technology can better serve citizens. So they are amazing on creating programs that help you and help us improve the programs for our kids. We also, Nourish California is our team, that's my team, leads a statewide advocacy effort to end hunger and disrupt poverty and ensure that all Californians are well nourished. We're also working with San Diego Hunger Coalition, and they lead an effort to end hunger in the San Diego County, and they are supported by research, education, and advocacy. And we also work with No Kid Hungry, who is a national organization, and they are working to strengthen the public nutrition programs that connect kids with the healthy food they deserve. Next slide, please. We have a great panel of speakers for you today. We have Nicola Baer. He is the lead developer of meal counts, and he works with Open San Diego. We have Amanda Mejia, the Hunger Free Kids Manager for San Diego Hunger Coalition. Unfortunately, Ashley was sick today, so she won't be able to be here with us. I hope that you feel better, Ashley. We also are very lucky to have Daisy Munguia, and she is the Associate Director for No Kid Hungry. And Robin Hernandez, she is having a little bit of difficulty because her internet is not working properly. So she will be here ready to answer any questions that you might have. And we're gonna try to cover her slides during this webinar. And lastly, my name is Angeles Nelson, here to serve you in any way that I can. And with that, we are gonna go straight to Daisy. And she's gonna let us know a little bit about CEP really quickly, because I think you all know what CEP is. And we're here advocating for you to enroll in CEP. And then she's gonna go into the first reason why to enroll in CEP. Take it away, Daisy.
Thank you, Angeles. So, as we know, many children are heading back to school this fall, and the nation is working to rebuild in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. And thanks to USDA extensions and waivers, operating SSO this school year will ensure students nationwide have access to free meals this year. And though school year 22 to 23 may seem far away, it's not too late to begin considering how to continue free meals to students regardless of income. That is why it is time to adopt or expand Community Eligibility Provision. CEP enables eligible schools to provide breakfast and lunch to all students at no cost to them. Additionally, CEP has many benefits outside of maximizing reimbursements. Just to name a few, CEP helps eliminate school debt, You can use a clicker to tally meal service quicker, and it's a 4-year cycle. So there's so many benefits to CEP, regardless if you might be in California or outside of California. Next slide. So our first reason to apply for CEP this year is the ability to lock down a high ISP. Applying for CEP now is a no-risk opportunity, which will allow you to lock in a high ISP and high reimbursement rates through school year 24 through 25. Rates in many districts are higher than ever before due to the pandemic and record SNAP enrollment. But SNAP is designed to expand for crises, such as a pandemic or a recession, and contract during times of economic growth. If your ISP continues to increase next year, then you can reapply and lock in a higher rate next year. However, it is more likely that your ISP will go down next year as the economy rebounds. If you don't apply for CEP this year and your ISPs decrease next year, then it will be a missed opportunity to lock down your current peak reimbursement rates, expand CEP, and lose out on thousands of dollars. For California, under School Meals for All, a high ISP will increase your grouping potential to get more schools on CEP, will help ease administrative burden, no more meal applications, help you implement breakfast after the bell programs, such as Grab and Go, Second Chance, and Big, and will simplify meals counting and claiming. In short, schools and districts that adopt CEP ahead of the coming school year can lock in a higher ISP for the next 4 years. Once CEP has been adopted, schools and districts can recertify in order to receive higher reimbursement rates, but will not be penalized for an improving local economy for the next 4 years. Next slide, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Amanda.
Thank you, Daisy. So I'm Amanda from the San Diego Hunger Coalition, and I am going to take you through reason number 2, that CEP is a risk-free opportunity, so 0 risk in taking on or applying for CEP this year. So if you apply for CEP this year, you can continue offering free meals for an additional 3 years after the federal waivers expire. And we do want to talk a little bit about California. The California Free School Meals for All Act will help make that act, applying for CEP will help make the California Free School Meals for All Act more sustainable, because it's all about pulling down federal dollars. So if you're in California and you're thinking, why me for CEP? We're already going to do it next year with the School Meals for All Act. Getting on CEP this year with those high ISPs like Daisy mentioned will help make School Meals for All Act more sustainable and inspire more states to potentially take on School Meals for All. All right, so let's talk about point number 2, being risk-free as well, locking in those ISPs. So as Daisy said, locking in those ISPs is 0 risk. You're really locking in at the height of a pandemic, and you're making sure that you're able to draw down the highest reimbursement dollars. So there's absolutely no risk in that, and I would say there's a lot of benefit. And then point number 3 on this one, if you apply this year, but you decide next year doesn't work for you, there's no penalty. You can drop the provision, or you cannot enact it. So no risk. It's a risk-free opportunity. Next slide, please. I'm going to cover point number 3 too, since Ms. Ashley is out. So point number 3, or reason number 3, apply for CEP now and still use SSO this year. So we want consistency with school meal. I'm sure everyone, raise your hand if you're tired of all the change. If you have fatigue from rules and waivers, and we all know last year, the beginning of the school year was so bumpy because the federal waivers expired and families had to come back, and all of a sudden meals cost some money, and it was a really rough road. So we know that consistency is really going to be key, especially because over the course of the pandemic, students and families have really come not only to rely on school meals, but to expect them and really appreciate them. So we want to continue that consistency. So you can continue offering free school meals through SSO this year, but then once you're on CEP, you're guaranteeing free meals, those meals that parents and families and students have come to rely on for an additional 3 years. And we'd also like to include that, continue to watch this and advocate on federal legislation. There are talks happening right now to lower the ISP and increase the multiplier. So this is a really great time to get in because you may even have a really high reimbursement rate if some federal legislation passes this year. So cross our fingers. So apply for it now, use SSO this year, an additional 3 more years of free school meals. That's my soapbox for you. Okay, and I apologize. Who's going to cover this slide now? Is this you, Angeles?
Yes, I can cover
Okay.
that.
All right, here you go.
And this is a little detour into California. And like Amanda mentioned, there is a great new regulation and there was a budget. And there was a provision in the budget that is going to provide $650 million in state funds to supplement the federal meal reimbursement. We are really, really excited about California implementing this. And this money is going to cover the gap between the free and reduced and pay reimbursement and what the federal reimbursement is going to give. So school districts must still meet all of the federal regulations as well as the standard counting and claiming requirements under the NSLP and the SBP. So it's really important to maintain and continue to provide meals. And this school mandate for next school year is going to ask a school district to offer both breakfast and lunch. And the schools with an ISP of 40 or greater, they must apply for federal provision such as CEP or P2 by June 30th, 2022. So why not do it this year, right? Take advantage that you can do it now. You have a few more weeks of extra time and you can get ahead of all of the schools that are going to be doing it next year by June 30. CDE is strongly encouraging all the schools to apply for CEP this year, even if they are operating SSO to cover the school meals this year. And so what are the benefits specifically for California is that they are numerous, and those ones include reducing the administrative burden, like Amanda was mentioning, and they increase the line speed with the clicker counting is allowed. So kids can go through the line faster and don't need to manage any money and any names. And that would be even easier, during COVID. That's a benefit for all of the schools. There also ease of implementing alternative meal formats and of course, increase in meal participation. Because when you can provide breakfast for all of the kids, then it's easier for all of them to participate. Next slide, please. And one of the really important benefits of applying for CEP this year is the PEBT benefit for all of the kids. All of the schools who enroll in CEP, their kids will be eligible automatically for PEBT benefits. And for those who might not know what the PEBT benefits is a federal program that provides cards with funds for groceries for families that have eligible children. And that is an automatic benefit. Families do not need to apply if their school is in CEP. The students are qualified based on the eligibility for free or reduced price meals, but all of the students in CEP schools are eligible. So that makes it a lot easier for families, and a lot of kids who otherwise wouldn't qualify for PEBT benefits qualify because they are enrolled on a school that provides CEP. The benefits are really good for students. Right now is $7.10 per day when the students for the schools that are closed, and is half of that for the schools that have virtual. Let me see, what else do we have? Students will receive the summer PEBT benefit for 2022. And this year, the benefit is $375 per student. So it is a really good benefit for families who are struggling to put food on the table. And it is really important for those families to get the benefits. This benefit, the PEBT, does not risk immigration status. It is not considered a public charge, and it does not count as income or affect other benefits. There is a website that you can, there's a link, and we can also put it in the chat if somebody wants to throw it in the chat. And the CDSS have really good resources for partners and for school districts, so they can send all the information to their schools. Yeah, so one of the great benefits is that if the schools go virtual or hybrid later on during the year, they will be able to quickly have the students receive PEBT benefits. And that's one way to ensuring that all of the students get the meals that they need, whether they are in hybrid or whether they are in virtual learning at any point during the school year. It used to be that the school needed to be closed 5 days. We believe the regulation for the coming year, the first time that the school closes needs to be 5 days of closure. And then after that, whenever the school is closed, they'll be able to receive those benefits. I think that's about it for PEBT benefits. And I just wanted to point out one last thing about California, that it is really important to maximize the federal funding, and it is critical for the sustainability of the California school meals for all in the future. So let's make sure that we get all the funding that we can through the CEP option. And then I'm gonna pass it on to Nikolai.
Thanks, Angeles. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikolai from Open San Diego, and also the lead developer on Meals Count. And our last reason here is a little bit more of a soft reason, but it's a great reason. And that's really that all of us here and all of our organizations, Open San Diego, Nourish California, San Diego Hunger Coalition, and No Kid Hungry, we're all here to help. We've had a really great coalition through the Meals Count tool and through a group that we've kind of organized around that to really maximize the people adopting CEP and make it as easy as possible. And we just want to kind of keep on echoing. We've been really paying attention. Obviously, it's been a really crazy few years here, but also it's been a great opportunity for us to get out there and get people on CEP since it's such a great program. So we're here, either through, if you have questions about applying or the application process or understanding how to understand it. Nourish California and San Diego Hunger Coalition and No Kid Hungry are all great groups to help you. And then if you're actually in the process of applying and you're using Meals Count, which we highly recommend to optimize your application. So Meals Count really kind of takes whatever schools you're applying to CEP and figures out how to maximize the revenue or the reimbursement that you get through grouping. And it does kind of a whole big calculation to do that. So if you're trying to use the Meals Count tool and if you have any questions whatsoever, we, as in most likely me, we're sitting there listening, and I will help you out, and we can help you out to really maximize that. So please do lean on all of us and our groups to help you get there and think about these reasons, the fact that everything's no risk and really is a great opportunity to get those extra dollars and solidify legislation in California, as Angela said. So on that note, I'm going to do also a little detour and just to kind of remind people who are in this process about getting help on Meals Count. Just not going to go through Meals Count itself, but I'll just point out here that there's a contact link at the top. So if you're using Meals Count and you have questions, please click the contact, and there's a contact form that goes to a bunch of us and we'll reply. Also, if you're on mealscount.com and you go through find your district and you click into a state, we've tried to put as much state contact information and website information that we have for the relevant portion of the state agency. So if you are looking at this and you are finding your state, please do check that if you need to reach out to the agency. If you are as part of a state agency or talking to someone who's a state agency and they don't think that this information is correct or anything, please do reach out on the contact form I just mentioned so we can get that corrected. We want to make this as much a useful resource as possible. And so on that, I think I'm passing on to Robin. I think you're jumping in on this one, right?
Yes, I am. I hope everyone can hear me all right. Okay. So thank you very much, Nikolai. With that, I want to take this chance to tell everybody a little bit more about the wonderful new CEP calculator that is available for you to use. This calculator allows you to compare different scenarios side by side to project how your revenue can be impacted by switching to CEP. The great thing about it is you can compare CEP versus NSLP, which is going to use your standard counting and claiming. And you can even manipulate anticipated changes in participation in breakfast and lunch per school to view the financial impact in real time. You can also use Meal Count strategic grouping tool in the calculator, which uses some intricate algorithms to run literally thousands of possible grouping combinations to find the ones that will most benefit your schools. So for those that are new to the CEP process, the way you can get the maximum numbers of schools certified for CEP is you can group them together. So if your minimum is requirement is 40% identified student percentage, but you have some schools that are lower than that, some that are higher, you can group them in. You can certify them by one school, by a group of all of your schools, or a group of just certain schools. There's tons of combinations you could put together, and this calculator is going to do that for you. So you actually might be able to get more schools certified that way. For California districts operating universal meals next year, this calculator will be extremely helpful in maximizing the number of schools that you can transition through grouping and in forecasting revenue increases due to projected participation increases. Next slide, please. So this next school year, we're actually proud to announce that No Kid Hungry will be hosting a reboot of our CEP work group that we held last year. We're lovingly calling it CEP 2.0 this year. All school districts who would like support in navigating the CEP process are invited to attend. What we do is we host several, we host a monthly session, which does a deep dive on topics such as direct verification, alternative income form collection, grouping schools, and more. Sessions are led by peers and experts in the process, and they allow for some really constructive conversations and communication between participants. I will place a link in the chat for those that are interested in learning more about the work group. And if you would like direct support or technical assistance on your CEP journey, please reach out to your No Kid Hungry program manager because we are here to help you. And next slide, please. All right. And I think, Angeles, am I passing it back to you here on this one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for the presenters for giving us all this great information on why school districts it's important for them to apply this year. We are going to go to a Q&A. So if you have any questions regarding any of those topics, please feel free to add them to the chat. And Robin, Amanda, and Nikolai will be here to answer any of those questions. There are a few resources in the chat too, if you want to take a look at that. And we will be sending the recording of this webinar and the slides along with in the next email.
And Angela, as well, people are thinking of their questions. If you don't mind, I can share my screen. And I'd love to give everybody kind of a quick snapshot of where they can find the CEP calculator.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, so bear with me a moment. Here I go. Okay. So No Kid Hungry has what's called the Center for Best Practices. It's an amazing resource tool for everything school meals, for the school meals professional. You can literally just Google Center for Best Practices CEP Calculator, and it'll take you to this page, but it's also the link in the chat that I gave you. So when you scroll through here, you actually have a couple resources available to you. So we've got the No Kid Hungry CEP Calculator here. And then you've also got a really great FAQ document here. And if you scroll down, it gives you kind of a rundown of what you can find in the calculator. And then there's a really great video demo available that runs you through how to use the calculator. And basically, you can take your data, fill it straight into the Excel spreadsheet, and get your ADP, and then it will run the algorithms to give you your groupings and your financial analysis. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Robin. Can you remind us when is the deadline for everyone for enrolling in CEP?
Yes, so there was an extension. Normally it's June 30th, but this year it was extended to September 30th. So you have some time still if you want to try to lock in your ISPs for this year. Otherwise, you'd have to wait until next year. June 30th would be the deadline to enact CEP for the following year. But you can actually have CEP now for this school year if you hurry and apply by the 30th of this month.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I don't see any questions on the chat. Does anybody see any other questions? Okay.
I'm going to encourage our attendees, though. You've got such a knowledgeable group of panelists. No question is too small. Don't be afraid to ask in the Q&A or in the chat. We are here to help, and we don't judge any question. So ask while we're all here.
And if you like to talk and instead of write it down, we can do that too.
I think they must be applying.
Yeah. We know
Very
it's
good.
a really burdensome process, and these tools are there to help you make it faster and easier and get more funding from the federal government. If there is any question, if there's any way that we can help you, please let us know. Do you want to put the last slide, Nikolai, so that they have a website and you can always call us. You can go to the Meals Count website, and I put it in the chat. There is a way to ask questions there too, and we will respond to you. And if you need any assistance going through the numbers, we can help you with that too. You can contact any of these organizations, San Diego Hunger Coalition, No Kid Hungry, and you can contact our wonderful Nikolai if you have questions regarding the meals count algorithms, or how can you change one school into being on PEBT, on CEP or another school. So we're here to help you any way we can. Give us a call. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great and wonderful weekend. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.